One of the wonderful things about doing these casts is I can actually do them from absolutely anywhere. So I'm actually sitting in an office somewhere, just quickly talking to yourselves for a few minutes about being the other. And I wanted to do just 2 or 3 little casts talking about the process of individuation and otherness. We're going to start this off by one of the main barriers to actually truly being oneself, and that is experiences of loneliness. This is being the other. Let's get started. Well, welcome back. This is Being the Other. I'm Dr. Dwight Turner, and as always, it's a pleasure to talk to yourselves about aspects of difference and otherness. And like I said at the top of this particular cast, I wanted to look at individuation and some of the barriers to that and some of the routes towards truly being oneself. Now, it's a term coined within Jungian psychology, which is more about how we actually develop and rediscover parts of ourselves we had to suppress in life in order to fit in. So, for example, we're very much, people's idea of who I am as a man, as I am as a man of color, is often formed and molded by the wider society, by wider culture. It sometimes means that I have no real power over how people see me. They have their own ideas. Where stereotyping starts to come in. We can actually start to avoid the stereotype by actually fitting into a way of being, because the stereotyping itself is so painful. I've talked about stereotyping in a previous cast, so please do look that up. It's on the list of other casts on here on Being the Other. One of the wonderful things about individuation, though, is Jung's idea talks about truly being oneself, moving beyond the personal stage of development to a more transpersonal or post-personal way of being, where we actually don't adhere so much to the cultural, societal, gendered, or other rules of how we're supposed to be, and we actually start to engage more so with who we want to be, who we are driven to be from within ourselves, through our unconscious, through our dreams, whatever it might be. The importance of this route, though, is to recognize that there are barriers. There are defenses that we put in place towards before we even start to walk that long, dangerous, painful route towards being oneself. And one of the things that I think can hinder a process of separation, of individuation, is actually the fear of being on one's own. Think of it this way. You're part of a group, you're 16, 17 years old, maybe like I was a big Public Enemy fan, I still am now, and yet at some point you start to realize, actually I don't want to do this anymore, I want to do something else which is more resonates more with myself. So you step out of your cultural group, you step out of your crew, your team, whatever it might be, and you start to do something which is more you. At the moment you do that, you have to risk being on your own, being separate, being different. And that's where this process of otherness can be quite painful. We can resist that. We can resist the idea of, well, I'm not part of this crew. I'm not part of this group. We can risk actually being more ourselves. So loneliness can often come up as a defense against otherness, as a defense against being who we are. And when it does, it can be quite difficult to deal with. But it's also very important to recognize it's one of the signposts towards authenticity, one of the signposts towards just being real. Loneliness is not a bad emotion to have. It's actually an important route to follow. I want to leave this brief cast there for this week. It's always a pleasure to talk to yourselves on Being the Other. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.